Now let's create a project using a MPLAB X. Okay, now this project is going to cycle this LED. That's by flashing it. Then after flashing it, it's going to chase the LEDs. So it's LED flasher chaser. Okay, let's call it like that. So the file name, will give it LED chaser. Alright, now we can do so by using the MPLAB X. Okay, this can be downloaded from my website, or there's a link which will take you to Microchip to download it free. Alright, okay, I think the best thing to do is for me to use a screen recorder so that we can see the project very well. But first, let me launch the MPLAB X. Okay, so I'll do so by clicking MPLAB X. Okay, so let's wait. Now the MPLAB X is launched, but for you to see it clearly, let's go and use a screen recorder. When we finish recording it, then we will come and use bootloader to upload the code into this microcontroller. Alright, so after launching the MPLAB X, it will bring us here. So now let's start creating a new project by going to File, New Project. Then the project dialog will start. It will first ask us what kind of project we want. So let's just select standalone projects and click Next. Okay, now a dialog box will ask what type of PIC do we want to use. So now let's leave the family alone and come here. We know the PIC that I've used on the board is PIC 16F887. Okay, so after we've selected the PIC, you can also do that through this pull down menu, but if you know it, you type it like the way we've just done. What we do, we click Next. Okay, Next. Now we have to be very careful here. A dialog box will also ask that what programmer or tool we want to use. In this case, I started off by saying that we're going to be using the USB because we've got a bootloader. So what we have to do is to choose a simulator. Okay, we're not going to choose any of the hardware programmers because we are not going to use any of them. We are only going to use a simulator. So let's choose a simulator and click Next. Alright, okay, now another dialog box will ask us which compiler we want to use. Okay, now we're going to use this new compiler, which is XC8. So let's choose FC8 XC8 and click Next. Alright, now so a dialog will appear and ask what to call this project. So we started off by saying that we want to call this project LED Chaser. So let's just go ahead and write LED Chaser here. I can create space or I can just leave it. So LED Chaser, yeah. Then finished. Now it's creating the project. Okay, the project is created. Alright, now let's add a source file, or that's if you have a source file, but since it's going to be your first time, trust me, you don't have anything there. So what is going to happen is that we're going to create a new source file. So you do that by going to the source file and right click and press new. So the new, you can select, so is it your main file, your main source file? So what we're going to do, let's just name it source file. Okay, so a new source file, so let's call it LED chaser, or we can give it a different name, but yeah, chaser is fine. Finish. So now we've created a new source file. Let's start writing our code. The code to first flash the LED, then start the LED chaser. So let's start by commenting our code. So what is the code doing? So first I use / asterisk again and /. Okay, so now what is it doing? We say LED chaser for AQ, which is my initials, Emmanuel Quaid. Development is a development. I think computer is slow. Come on, development board. Okay. All right. So this is our comment. All right. Let's go ahead and write a code. Now, after a few seconds, we've finished writing the code. But now, let's say we want to know when this code was created. So let's say 2012. All right. So that anytime that we want to write a code, we can. Okay. Now, let me tell you what this code is doing. It's very simple. First, we call the type of processor we are using. Yeah, we call the type of processor we are using. Okay, then we set all the fuses here. These are setting the fuses. Let me just mark it. These are setting all the fuses. This one. All right. Okay, then we tell it to use a crystal of 4 megahertz. Okay, so that is 4 mega is 1 million. So 4 megahertz. Okay. Then what we do, we initialize all the registers. So this side is initializing all the registers. Let me mark it for you to see. This side is initializing all the registers. Okay, that is in other words initializing the ports. Okay, so now, and what you normally do here, you set which port you want it to be output and which one you want it to be input. So if you put 0, it will set it to be output. If you put 1, it will set it to be input. Okay. All right. Now this is where the program starts. So you've got this is the main. Let me mark it. Main. This is where the program is starting from. All right. So what we've done, we've just created a variable called counter. Okay. Then this place, what we're doing, we're just flashing the LED. So we turn the LED on. Here we turn the LED on. LEDs are on port B. Okay, so you turn the LED on. With that, then we delay it for 200 milliseconds. Yeah, then we turn it off. So turn it on, delay it for 200 milliseconds, and turn it off. Okay, now this will just flash the LED. Then what we are going to do, the reason why we sort of created the variable counter, because we want to use it to be doing the LED chasing. So we've got only 4 LEDs, so it's going to be from RB0 to RB3, which is 4. 1 2 3 4. Okay, so what is going to happen is that we set a counter here to count up to 10. So what you will see, so that is, it's going to count as if I go up here. We set a counter here, start from 0, count up to 10. Then it will be incrementing the counter up to 10. Then we'll reset to 0 again. Okay, so that is what this code is doing. Very simple. I'm rushing here because I don't want to waste time in what do you call it, explaining only because I've got a few things to do. So all that is doing, this place is flashing Yeah, it's this place is going to do the counting, which is the LED chasing, and this side is going to do the flashing. Okay, now if you see, I've put a while here, a loop here, so this will flash it for, I think, just a flash. Come on, go off. Then this side is going to be going on forever because I've put a while loop here, so it's going to be looping the chasing forever. Let's see if this will happen on the board. So what we do after creating it, what you have to do is to compile it. You compile it by pressing this build sign here, hammer here. So what we do, we compile it. Okay, now after compiling, what we have to do is to take the hex file, because if you compile a code, you generate a hex file. So it's going to take the hex file. We're going to take the hex file and program it onto the board. Okay, all right, now we are compiling. Okay, so yes, now it's saying that it's successfully compiled, loading completed. So let's go ahead and put this code into the microcontroller on our board. So after creating a project and writing a code to first flash these LEDs and then start chasing the LEDs, okay, forever, because it will be going on forever until you have pulled the plug from, or the USB cable from the board. Okay, now let's go ahead and download that code into this board by using just a USB cable. Normally you will do that by using one of these fancy hardware tool that is a programmer, which is expensive. You get what I mean? I have done away this by implementing a bootloader technology, which I have programmed into this chip. Okay, so you can only use USB cable to download it. Okay, now you can use programmer if you've got one, but if you don't have one and you've only got USB cable, a board and a laptop, you can start doing some serious projects, whether you are a student or engineer or hobbyist, or even if you are like some of my friends who are not, well, they are none of those. Some are medical doctors, but what they want to do, they just want to see how this impressive gadget works. You get what I mean? You can go ahead and get one of my board, your laptop, and a USB cable, and you start doing your codes. Okay, now let's download the hex file, because what we did after creating that project, what we have done, we compile that project, and that project, if you compile any project, you get a hex file from it. So it's the hex file, the 1 and 0s, which is not understood by us, but it's understood by the computer, or these are digital beings. They understood the 1 and 0s. I will do a tutorial maybe very soon and talk about binary and talk about bits, 32 bits, 8 bits. I'll do some very soon. Now let's go ahead and download our code using just USB. So what we do, we first power it. Okay, so this board is powered just by the USB cable, and I'm going to download the code also through this USB cable. Let's see how we do that. Okay, so let's download the code onto the board. Okay, what we should expect after downloading the code is this LED flashing, then the chaser. Okay, that's what we should expect. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's first call the bootloader software. Okay, now you can download it from my website or follow a link to Microchip and download it free. Okay, so let's connect the USB cable to the board. Okay, it's connected. Alright, now let's press the blue button here, which is called break reset mode. So we press the blue button here. Then the next thing to do is to reset the board. Now reset, there is a tact switch here written reset, so we press the reset button on the board. Okay, now after pressing the reset button, let's go and press the red button here, which is a stop button. So we press the red button. Now you see what has come on the screen? It has read information on this microcontroller. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to download the code that we compile. So you see, I'm doing all this through this USB cable, powering it, and at the same time uploading a code, which is normally you need a program. I've said this, I'm going to say it again. That is one of the things that I've done, that students can afford this board, or can afford having a simulator like this, and then well, using it for their projects. Okay, so now let's go ahead and upload a code in here. So what we do, we have reset it and have gone into the bootload mode by pressing the stop button. So let's go to open. Okay, so we open the project that we created. So I open, then we called it LED chaser or flasher. So let's go and pick that file. Okay, so you have to locate where, because if you are creating a project, you have to create folder for all your projects. You get what I mean? So when I do any project on my machine, it goes to a folder that I've created for all my projects. So let's go to the file that is a high-tech code. Then okay, so now this is the file that we compiled. Okay, so let's just upload this file by pressing open. Okay, so if you look at your ASCII code here, it has changed. So all that you need to do here is to press this icon with the arrow going down. So you have a read device. We don't want to read this device, we want to write the device. So if you press the write device, see what happens to the LED here, because it's uploading the code from your laptop onto this board to reside in the microcontroller. So let me press it and see what happens to the LEDs. Okay, see what is happening? It's telling you that it's uploading, but it's a small code. It's a code just to fast, so it's very, very fast. It's done already. Now how do we test it? You test it by pressing reset button. So let's press the reset button here and see whether the code that we have downloaded in the board is doing exactly what we've instructed it in the code to do. So I press reset. Okay, yes, it's flashing. Now let's see whether it will chase each other. Yes, it's still chasing. Yeah, very simple. So now you can just use a USB cable, power your board, and at the same time programming your board. Yeah, okay. So, and do you know what, in the code I've said I put a loop there, a while loop. So this is going to be chasing forever. This is exactly what I said in the code. So until I've pulled this plug, even if I leave it for 100 years, it's going to be doing. These are embedded system. It's just like your washing machine. Now, what you should know is that if you are able to do it on this board, you can take it in a real machine, like your washing machines, your microwave, the iPad, the iPod. Like the iPad, you have the pages, what do you call it, changing. If you have your, what do you call it, finger swipe over the screen. Why? Because it's been done by a microcontroller, and there's a module in the microcontroller called the capacitive touch sensor. Capacitive touch sensor. That is what is doing that trick. You get what I mean? You can do all those things on this board. So if you learn how to do it on this board, because it's a simulator, if you learn how to do it on this board, you can take it into a real product. Let's say you have come out from school and you've got a job in Bosch. Well, even if you do well, you get a good CV, you can even get a job in NASA. So, well, if you get a job and you've got all these codes written, you can take the same codes that you have written. The good thing about it is that you can put it on your flash drive and take it anywhere. Okay, so until I have pulled this probe, it's going to be chasing. This is LED chaser. Alright. Okay, now let's say, no, these boards, you can use this board forever, because the microcontroller can be reprogrammed, erased for about 200,000 times. You get what I mean? So you can use it for any code at all that you choose. Now let's look at lights here. Depending upon the intensity of the light, to change the tone through the buzzer. So if I turn it that way, that means the light intensity will change. If I cover it, the light intensity will change. If I remove my hand, I can even start playing sort of piano with it. You get what I mean? By just moving my hand here and there on the LDR, and that will also be changing the tone. Okay, now let's try that and see. I don't need to erase that. What I have to do, I press the break and reset button by pressing the pause sign, then press reset, then press the stop button, which is the boot mode load. Okay, then let's go to the code. So if you are a student and you are creating projects, you just have to create a folder to have all your projects under one folder. It makes life a bit easier. So let me call this project and just upload it. So okay, now this is the, so you realize that the ASCII code, the code here, ASCII code has changed. Okay, now let's try and program that or download that code onto this board. So when that code comes, the LED chaser is going to be erased, then the new one will take effect. So let's see. I write to the board by clicking the write to device. See what it's doing? It's writing to the board. Oh, saying timeout. Let's try again. Why is timeout? Okay, so it's writing. It's still writing. Okay, it's written onto this board. Let's see whether it's going to do exactly what I have said, because I've uploaded a new code. The code should allow us to even play piano in the air. Okay, alright. Now to do that, let me press first the reset. Yeah, so I press the reset. Okay, yes, it's working now. Let me try and turn the board. By doing so, I'm changing the ambient light around this LED. Even me taking my hand there, you see, it's changing the tone. See? So I can start playing piano. Or when I turn it that way, see it's changing. I play piano. Anyway, enough with this piano. But what this is telling you, that you can do any project at all. With this simulator, you can do any project at all, because if you are an engineer and you are trying to, let's say, to do a project for an automobile industry, let's say anti-lock braking system, you don't have to go and buy a car to start practicing on it. You can practice your sensor on a simulator like this before you take that code into a real car. Yeah, so this is your simulator. If you are flying, you don't start flying commercial airline, but you start with using what do you call a flight simulator. So the same thing. If you are an engineering student, you don't even have to be an engineering student. If you just want to be, practice all these codes to know how all these impressive gadgets work, you get one of these simulator, USB cable, laptop, hey, and few weeks or months down the line, you'll be one of the best engineers around. Okay, all right, so let's play piano. It's a simple project. You can do it within few hours if you get one of these boards. Alright, thank you for watching. My next tutorial is going to be microcontrollers.